welcome. You're listening to the Leading Hope Podcast. My name is VJ Williams, here with my friend and pastor, Kevin. Jack, thank you for joining us, taking time out of your day.
When you said my name like that.
Take your day, conquer your day, and become a better leader. If you're new, we release a new episode every Wednesday. We're so glad you're here. The easiest way to remember is to subscribe to your favorite podcast platform. Do you have a favorite podcast platform?
Oh, Pocket Casts.
Pocket Cast.
Yeah, Pocket Cast let me control the speed far greater than Apple Music.
Like 0.5, 0.1, 1.5.
Yeah, Apple, it gives me like the quarters.
Okay.
And like, I'm like, some people I'm 2.
Yeah.
Like 2 times. Other people talk a little too fast for that, so I'm at like a 1.8.
Okay. Wow.
We recommend if you're on Pocket Cast that you can listen to us at a 1.2 at the most.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I think I've warped my brain from listening to so many podcasts and audiobooks at 2 times the speed that I think this is the speed that people actually talk at.
That's great. Pocket Cast, huh?
Yeah, it's
if you're
great.
listening, Pocket Cast, the creators, we would love you to sponsor this podcast.
Yeah.
Also, rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Whoops. A few extra minutes will also help get this in the hands of so many more leaders that are trying to get better just like us. And visit leadinghope.online to get updates. Follow along every week. Listen, we're in a new series today. Episode 163, How to Actually Develop Leaders, Part 1.
It felt like a little presumptuous as a title.
I know, but I like it. People will laugh at it.
So last week, if you were with us or you can go back and watch, we talked about what actually is development.
Development is an event.
Thank you.
Development is an event. Is events? Event.
It's an event.
It's an event.
And when you have all these events, it is the process of development.
Oh, there we go.
And so this is, I'm giving you stuff that our team is working through right now as it comes to the idea of development.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is I believe there's 4 key questions that if you're going to have a leadership development process, the goal is a culture. The goal is a culture in which the development conversations happen with regularity, that it's open enough, people care about the mission enough that they will have the development conversation. Here's where you are. Here's where you could be. Here's what it takes in order to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. But I want to give the process that kind of encompasses that. So if you're going, what does it look like? What do we need to be doing to develop leaders? I believe there's 4 questions you should look through, and we're going to look at the first two today and the next 2 next week.
Yeah, and these will all be on the website too, so that'll be helpful. So if you're driving, you don't have to write them down. You can follow along.
Very good. So here are the 4 questions. Let me lay it out for you. I believe that leadership development process consists of 4 questions, and they are: what do you need a leader to do? Who do you need a leader to be? How do you identify a leader, and how do you help them grow into what they are called to become?
Ooh.
So instead of simply shifting, and I'll just give church world as the factor, like, we need more leaders. we need leaders. How are we going to get more leaders? Well, we need to develop them. Like the lowest rung answer is, we need to find them. It's like, that's dumb. Don't find leaders, build leaders.
Yep.
There you go. All right, how are you going to build them? We're going to take them through this book. Why? Because the book says leadership in the title. This is like, no, we can do better than that. So here, again, the questions.
Leadership for dummies. I subscribe.
What do you need a leader to do? Who do you need a leader to be? How do you identify a leader? And how do you help them grow into what they are called to become? So today, we're talking about what do you need a leader to do and who do you need a leader to be? So,
that's good.
Part 1. What do you need a leader to do? I almost said the wrong question.
That's all right.
I got to the moment. And so here's what I want people to say. What do you need a leader to do? Leader is not an identity. It is an action.
Ooh.
Okay? When we call someone a leader, what we mean is they are competent in the actions that a leader must do. Okay? If we say like so-and-so is a great basketball player, what are we actually saying? We are saying they are good at passing, dribbling, shooting, rebounding, defense. Like there are a list of competencies of skills that we can ascribe to that person that says they can do this.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is we miss that on leadership because there's so many skills that can be associated with leadership that we just assume it's a title or it's a disposition or it's just innate. And we go, oh, they're a great leader. What do you actually mean?
Right.
And so the first thing you have to do is you have to identify what are the skills, what are the competencies, what are the actions, what are the behaviors. Okay. Those are all different ways of saying the same thing. Just to be clear, I don't want people to look at each different one. What are the things that a leader must be able to do? And it's different based upon your organization. What it looks like this is why someone can be a successful leader in one culture and not a successful leader in another culture, because different organizations ask different things of leaders. They go, I don't know how they flopped in this job. They're so successful because they weren't good at this skill.
Yeah.
Even though it is also associated with leadership. So I want to give you our list. So these are the actions that we believe at our church that we need a leader to be able to do. And they're pretty simple. They are: one, we need a leader who can make an ask. A-S-K, who can make an ask, who is willing to invite someone into the process, who is willing to be vulnerable and be told no. We need someone who can make an ask, who doesn't just control the work or do it all themselves, but pulls others in.
That's good.
Second thing, we need someone who can cultivate community, not just make a connection, okay? Because that's a different skill set. There's some people who can make a meaningful connection with another person. We need someone who can take a group of strangers and form them into a community. And so we're looking for leaders who can cultivate community. Third thing is we need leaders who are vision-based. I just put on my list who can cast vision. But what I mean is leaders who are motivated by the vision, who make decisions based upon the vision, who can talk about the vision with inspiration, like they're excited by the vision. We're looking for people who are vision-based. They don't just want title. They don't just want position. They want impact.
Yeah. And
they understand how those are tied together. Fourth one, there's only 5, just to be clear. Fourth one is we need leaders who know how to make it better.
Hey!
And I would actually say I think that's the most significant thing that a leader must be skilled at, is to be able to go, this is how we make this better.
Yeah.
These are the areas of weakness that we have improvement. These are the strengths that we can build upon. And then the fifth part is we just say we need a leader who's good at ministry-specific functions, whatever that is for the area. We want someone who's serving in children's ministry to be competent with children, or at least not to scare children off. We want someone who serves in music to be competent in what they are, the instrument they are seeking to play, or singing, or something like that. Okay. So we're looking for some just ministry specific functions. But if I could go back through the list, like, what do we say? We need leaders. This is what we're saying. We need people who can make an ask, who can cultivate community, who can cast vision, and who can make it better. That is what we're looking for.
It's good.
And when we know what we need a leader to do, it helps us see who are potential leaders, and it helps us see what we need a leader to be. Because the competencies come out of our character. This is really important. Like, I could not be a painter. Not because you didn't see that coming. Like, I just couldn't. I don't have the patience for it. I have no interest in spending that much time to just do one thing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. But yeah.
So, like, part of it is like innate to who I am.
Right.
Like, I will not be good at that skill because it is not true of who I am as a person. Make sense?
Yeah.
And so we acknowledge that our action comes out of our identity. What we do comes after who we are. And when you know what you need a leader to do, it helps you understand who you need a leader to be.
Yeah.
And so what we have is we have a list of virtues that we say, these are the virtues that we're looking for in potential leaders, because not just because these are good things, but because these are the virtues that will result in these competencies. These are the character traits that will result in these skills.
Right.
Okay, so here's our list on our virtues, and then I'll give some explanation to it. And then, VJ, you can pick all this apart or do whatever you want with it.
All right.
Okay? Our list of virtues. We want leaders who are available. Like people who make time.
It's crazy.
Not just have time, but who make time.
Yeah.
And we'll get into this as to how we gauge this in some of the future pieces, but this helps us see like who consistently shows up or who's always busy.
Yeah.
Because if you're always busy and you're brilliant, it doesn't really help.
Right.
Like you're not a potential leader. We're looking for leaders who are available. We're looking for, I put two things here, and this is important because I want to define it. We're looking for leaders who have empathy or leaders who love people. And I struggle a little bit with empathy because I think we have misdefined empathy in our culture today.
It's good.
I think empathy is just, we define it today as sorrow, and that's not what it is. It is like, we've defined empathy as, well, I feel bad for someone. Empathy is able to enter someone else's story and understand where they are. And it's only when you've entered someone else's story that you're able to help them move forward.
Yeah.
So like there's this this is a scene from The West Wing. Ready?
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be way fun. The story goes like this, is that there's this man who fell in a ditch and person after person walked by and they didn't help him. And he had no idea how to get out of this hole. And person walked by. And then eventually somebody walked by and they jumped in the hole with them. And the guy who was in the hole looked at him and said, "You idiot. What did you do? Now we're both in here." And the man said, "It's okay. I've been here before. I know the way out."
That's good.
That's empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy is not just, I feel bad for you that you're stuck in the hole, or I'm just going to get in there with you and now we're stuck in the hole together. It's, I want you out. And so I'm able to enter where you are in order to move you to a better place.
It's good.
And so I think the better definition of that is love. We're looking for leaders who love people, not leaders who are done with people.
Yeah, it's good.
Not leaders who wear shirts that say like, more dogs, less people. More cats, less people. More books, less people. We want people who actually care about people within there. Third thing, we're looking for leaders who have humility. Okay? Leaders who it's not about themselves.
Yeah.
These are leaders who can buy into the vision. We're looking for leaders who have calling, who believe that God is leading them into this. Not just that this is a good thing, but that this is where God wants them. And leaders who have courage.
Yeah.
Leaders who are willing to make hard decisions, who are willing to make hard calls, who are willing to step into uncertainty. And if I could trace them together for just a second, because I think this is where it's so important, and then V, I'll hand it off to you. Like, if they don't have courage, they're not able to make an ask.
Yeah.
If they don't love people, they're not able to cultivate community. If they don't have calling, they're not going to connect things to the vision. If they don't have courage, if they don't have humility, they're not going to be able to make it better.
Yeah.
Like if someone is a narcissist and they try to make it better, they implode everything.
Yeah.
But if they have humility and they try to make it better, they also become the change that they're seeking. That great quote of like, be the change you're seeking in the world.
Right.
And courage is embodied in each one of these. And I just want people to see like so often how I feel is we say we need leaders and we don't actually know what we're saying. And so I always laugh back to like, well, a leader for most people means they look like a leader.
Yeah.
What's that? Well, typically it's they're tall. Like, I know that sounds oh so ridiculous, but like the reality, like I go back scripturally, like Saul was king over Israel, anointed king, and he stood, the first thing they say about Saul, he stood a head taller than everyone else.
Yep.
And so we'll look at someone and they're tall or they're well-spoken or they're decent looking and we go, that's a leader. And
David.
that is so stupid. Yeah. That they overlooked David.
Yeah.
Because he was ruddy.
Yeah.
Is the description they have.
Yeah.
Of David.
Yeah.
And to understand that like leadership is not a title. Leadership is a set of competencies coming together that enable you to help people move forward. And when you know what those competencies are, first, you need to identify the virtues that will lead to those abilities.
Yeah.
And once you've done that, you've done the first two most important steps of leadership development.
There is, this is gold for anyone who wants to become a better leader.
Yeah.
Because there is, I'm just thinking this now, that we have pieces of this in the descriptions that our teams are creating as we speak.
Yes.
These actually need to replace anything that we have on our descriptions tomorrow.
Yes.
So if we're a part of Highland Park Church and we're writing descriptions for our lead volunteers, for leaders of our teams, for people on our teams that are in ministry specific areas, this is it.
Yes.
Like if you're at our church, if you're employed, number one, you're a leader.
Yes.
Like these are
Well,
the
you
things.
need to be.
Yeah, these are the things that we all have to aspire to. And I'm just thinking, I've been praying and fasting for day 9 today? Day 9.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking that God was going to give me some very specific, like scripture, right? Because I'm reading the scriptures, and we've got the book, and we've got all these things that we're going through in a daily video from people. And God's been giving me the same thing from John Kennedy, which is crazy.
I did not expect this to happen.
I didn't either. It's like, if not us, who? If not now, when?
That's
And
great.
it keeps giving me this every day. I keep having this thought enough to where I'm probably going to put it on something to stare at it, because if I don't have the desire, none of these other things will actually come out.
Yeah.
But then if I don't have these things, and I love that you pointed out that the lists coincide with one another. They work in tandem, in parallel, congruently,
Yeah.
because you can't have one. The one is an action for the other in order for you to move forward. And I think with my kids are always, it's so interesting because I do so many little things here and there. They're like, what do you actually do? And I'm like, well, I try to lead these different things. And it's really hard to explain sometimes
Yes.
to your kids of what you do. And I think that's a good thing. I originally thought it was really disparaging to me to tell my kids well, I'm this online pastor. You connect with people online all over the world and really try to give them a picture of what it looks like to be in community and not in the world in a way that they might think they are. But
Yeah.
and you try to explain this to your kids and they're like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's this.
Yeah.
This is what I should be telling them that I do,
Yeah.
right? Not the task. It's these things. I have empathy for people. I have a calling on my life, right? I have courage. I love people. I'm available, right? I cast vision. I make it better. I ministry specific functions. We cultivate community, and we make an ask to people and
Yeah.
don't leave God with the consequence of the ask.
Yep.
God told me to ask. I don't care what happens.
Yep.
They say yes, they say no, maybe so, whatever in between. I just do what I'm called to do. And that's what I should be telling my kids, not that I'm title.
And I think it's so interesting from the standpoint of if you would ask most people what are the virtues that are needed for a leader?
Yeah.
They'll give you a list a mile long.
Yep.
And granted, there's some that are I don't even know how to they're pay to play.
Yeah.
If you don't have integrity, you're out.
Yeah.
If you're not honest, you're out.
Yeah.
We didn't include that in our list because those are foolproof.
Yeah.
But we just typically people just make this massive list of all these good sounding things.
Yeah.
And to go, does that actually correlate with what you need a leader to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Who's our guy, the 5 dysfunctions guy?
Lencioni.
Lencioni. So he's got the piece of hey, you can drill down into even more stuff like tenacity.
Yeah.
We think that's important, but that really just comes as courage.
Yes.
Right. So these are the parent to the child descriptions. If you don't have these, tenacity doesn't matter because you can't have tenacity without courage.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important that we drill into these. I'm going to make something of this outside of our descriptions, but if we have these all over the place, we're definitely going to know where we're hitting and what we're not.
And
is there anything else that you would employ for us?
Well,
to
I would say
with these things that we need to have in front of us, because it's great. This is a podcast, right? It's the podcast that we actually said was how to actually develop leaders. That's
Yeah.
great. Good. Love it. 163. Woo. What do we need to do with this information now?
Well, that's what we're going to hit in the next
There we go.
episode.
I
There
set
you
it
go.
up. All right. Perfect. I'm like a genius. 163. End it for us so we
Yeah.
can get into next week.
2 questions I want you to wrestle with today, and we'll hit the other 2 next week. What do you need a leader to do? And once you know what you need a leader to do, you can identify who do you need a leader to be. And by identifying the virtues, you will be able to spot to go, this person is available, potential leader. This person loves people, potential leader. This person has courage, potential leader. It makes the whole process easier.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining us. Episode 163, How to Actually Develop Leaders. If you're new to the podcast or haven't yet subscribed, it'd mean the world to us if you did that now. Also post about it, rate and review, or both. You won't believe how that helps get the podcast and so many more leaders just like you and us who are trying to get better. We love hearing your stories of how the podcast is working in your life and business. If you have a story, visit leadinghope.online. You can also reach us on Instagram. Just DM us. We will come back and answer any questions that you have anytime that you do that. But we would love to hear from you. And everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it count.